Do you feel like God's given you a bunch of songs, but you don't know what to do with them? Do you feel like you've got a real call on your life to write, but you're clueless about where to start? Or maybe you've got writer's block and you're wondering if you'll ever get the creative juices flowing again. Well, we've got you covered with NCS membership. NCS membership is all about community and how to grow in this calling you feel deep inside to be heard. We get it. We know that you just want to honor God with your talents and be a good steward of what He's given you. And that's why NCS membership could be your next right step to grow, learn, be challenged, get connected, and ultimately fulfill your dreams to glorify God and reach others with the same passion you feel. It's designed to help you tell your story and to reach listeners who will love your songs. With your NCS membership, you'll receive 24/7 access to valuable masterclasses on topics such as modern hymn writing, worship writing, song form, lyric development, and recording home demos, as well as discounts for other NCS products and a deep connection into a community of creatives who get you. There are a lot of songwriters out there, so you need to be the best you can be to stand out, be heard, and become the songwriter you were born to be. Just go to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com now to check out all the great benefits of becoming part of a decidedly Christian community of songwriters from all over the world. NCS membership, your next right step to being heard.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Song Revolution podcast, brought to you by Nashville Christian Songwriters. Nashville Christian Songwriters exists to empower Christian songwriters worldwide. I'm John Chisholm, and this podcast exists to bring you valuable songwriting insights, inspiration, interviews, and just all around good fun with some of the greatest songwriters, producers, arrangers, artists, and creatives, and beyond. You can find out a whole lot more about us at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. Hey everybody, John Chisholm. Thanks for joining me today on the podcast. I'm going to bring out a show and dust it off a little bit from Pat Barrett. And Pat is the co-writer of the amazing song that I hope has blessed you and many around you. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. Yes, that's who you are. I love it, and I know that you do too. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. Yes, I am. You know I am. That's who I am. Yes, I am. That's who I am. Who I am. I mean, tell me a song in the last decade that's really kind of brought those two ideas together in any better way than our identity in Christ as His beloved children and His fatherhood over us. I mean, wow, that's amazing. I could just preach a sermon about the fatherhood of God today. You know, He has revealed Himself to us as Father, Son, and Spirit, and it's just a great song. I mean, the Tour Waltz brought us Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. I need to get them on the show. And then we have so many other wonderful songs about Jesus, but sometimes I think the Father gets a little overlooked maybe. I don't know, but this one definitely reminded us of the beautiful fatherhood of God over our lives and makes us thankful, right? So anyway, Pat, this is a great show with Pat. He's a new dad. He's a new global worship leader, new artist on Chris Tomlin's new label. So this guy's got a lot going on, and it has a lot to offer, and it's just a fun show. We laugh a lot, and I like to do that. I hope that's not annoying, but I like to do that anyway, so get over it. Anyway, okay, I didn't say that. Anyway, so here we are on the show for today with the co-writer of Good, Good Father and many other great songs on his new record, Mr. Pat Barrett. So sit back and enjoy, and be sure to check in on all the great things we have going on here at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com so that you can stay in tune, pun intended. All right, I just better go ahead and close off this intro because I'm getting sillier and sillier, but that's just the way I am. So go hum Good, Good Father and listen through this great episode with Pat Barrett. Hey, Pat Barrett, man, welcome to the show.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Now, are you at home in hot Atlanta today?
I am, and it is living up to its name. It's like, it's literally like living on the surface of the sun in the summer.
Man, your feet are burning.
Yes.
scorched. Yeah.
I can't stop sweating. It's the worst.
Too funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's time to get out in the pool. It's time to get under the hose. It's time to do something in hot Atlanta.
Oh yeah, literally.
Cool. And you're married. You got kids, right? Your third. Did you just have? Is that right? Last year.
Yeah. We have a 1-year-old named Cash, and so just so much screaming in our house. So much. A lot of crying. Some of it's the baby. Most of it's me. I'm crying. The baby's crying. So yeah, I think three is the limit. I can't have more than 3 kids. Our family feels complete. So we're
there you go.
We're definitely in it right now.
There you go. Sweet. Well, man, that's fun. Your quiver is full. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, obviously, I mean, one of the biggest songs of ever with Good Father. You co-wrote with Tony, right? Anthony Brown.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
And so
that's right.
I know. Let's just get it out of the way, dude. Let's just go ahead and go there, and let's just go and get that little story out, and then we can move on and talk about some other things. How about that?
Perfect. Yeah, I don't like what. Man, that song. So I'm walking around in my house right now. That's where I am. And when I think about that song, this is so crazy, but I think about this one spot in my house that, man, it all happened during a time that I just become a dad for the first time with my daughter, Harper Gray. And I think she was at the time, she was 2, 3, and you're thinking about like, okay, how do I start sharing about like God to like a 3-year-old, which they ask like hilarious questions, right? So you're trying to like, you're thinking about that. And at the same time, I'm leading worship at an event every weekend at a different denomination, in a different denomination of the church. And I think that's part of my story that's always been amazing. I've always been in so many different streams of the church. But during that time, it actually added to a bit of the confusion as I was wrestling with that question. Like, okay, I'm explaining to my daughter, what is God like? But every weekend I'm at a different place with an amazingly articulate, powerful speaker that's, man, it's just so inspiring. And at the base, though, there's always like a different take on that question. You know, what is God like? Is he? So the more and more I sat with that, and when Jesus talked about orienting us towards a relationship, it was a father relationship, and man, that's just such a loaded word, such an experiential word. Like you translate your own experience or lack of experience with your father with that word. And if Jesus is saying, I want you to relate to God as a father, but there can be a lot of baggage. There can be a lot of good things. There's a lot of, but all those things being experiential, I think it just forces us to wrestle not just with our relationship with God, but our relationship with our dad. So I think that was one of the things with the song that was always so just amazing and humbling to me, is that people would come up who had completely different experiences with their fathers, their earthly fathers, saying, man, I just want you to know, I never knew my dad. That was Tony's story. He never knew his dad. The only person he's ever called father is God. And for me, I had an amazingly present, engaging father in my life. I had an amazing example of that. So, but the song was still resonating with me to encourage me that God was like you could trust the words of Jesus in that. And man, I'll tell you what, the fruit in my own life from that song of just singing it came at a time when I needed it. I needed it for me. It was never like the thought that it would ever leave, the community was just, wasn't even the goal. It was just like, wow, when I sing this, I feel like I'm being healed of things I didn't even know I needed to be healed of. Sweet. And it just really connected with our own church. And then, man, outside of that, it blows my mind to just hear of all the places and all the stories and testimonies of, it never gets old to me. It's shocking. I'm still shocked.
Jeez. Wow. Yeah, man. And wow. And it does bring such a neat, I'll use the A word, anointing, when we all sing it, on this end, it's like, oh my gosh, I am getting healed or whatever, or blessed, or, it's deep, man. So how did Tomlin get a hold of it and then take it to the world?
Yeah. So, I mean, as the story goes, Chris's wife sent it to him. So Lauren sent it to him and said, "Hey, you need to hear the song." After he heard it, he gave me a call and he was like, "Man, I want to talk with you because I just heard this song, and I wanted to know if you'd be open to me recording it and, man, potentially putting it out as a single." And I was like, "Yeah, let me pray about it." Okay. It's just so quick. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like, do I have to pray about this?
Yeah. Well, and for me, Chris has been one of those like incredibly influential voices in my life as a songwriter, as a worship leader, like even from a distance. So,
Sure.
man, to hear someone whose writing has impacted you so much, to hear them say like, "I just want you to know your writing has really impacted me." You're like, what is happening?
Totally.
Especially as a songwriter, just so encouraging. But I mean, from then on, like that really was kind of the beginnings of a lot of next things. I mean, hilariously, like when we went in, Chris invited me to be a part of the recording of Good Father in Nashville when he did it. So I'm playing acoustic on it. I'm singing some BGVs on the track. And he goes, he was like, "Man, what if this message, like, what if there was a way for us to like have this that it'd be easy to share with kids, like a children's book?" So really, that was kind of the beginnings of like, I wrote a children's book with Chris Tomlin before I ever wrote a song with him. I was like, what is happening in my
Dude.
life? Like, so there were things that were always so unexpected about the journey of that message. And man, it was just really, it was the beginning of just some really special, an awesome friendship. And then, man, just what Chris being able to carry the song and share it with the world in the way that he does is just amazing. I just love it.
And isn't it crazy how God just has used something that grew up organically, because you were doing the Housefires thing and y'all were recording, and it wasn't like that was a new concept for you, right? And you had this amazing fellowship at Grace Midtown, which I'd love to hear a little bit about that too in a second. But, this heart-driven, simple thing, that you just described, starting out of just trying to communicate the Father character of God, has hit such a nerve throughout the world and catapulted you into, now you're a freaking children's author too, man. What's going to be your next book, right?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? I cannot believe that children's author is even a part of my...
I think you need to do Good Mama. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly.
I think that should be next, right?
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Tell us a little bit about Grace Midtown. What are you still involved there? You've got your buds, your posse there with Tony and Nate and Kirby, and I've been reading about all these people, and it's like, is that still a thing now that you're so busy? And tell us a little bit about the church and then the community there.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, we've, when we did the first Housefires recording, I mean, life was a lot different then. The life stage. So, I mean, since then, it's been amazing. Nate, he actually is living in Nashville now. He's a part of Church of the City.
Great church.
One of those campuses. And so what already was like a local expression for our community, we've kind of had to walk through changes and, figure out what continuing to write and worship together looks like. We still have the Housefires worship nights once a month in Atlanta, but really like the Grace Midtown community, that Grace Midtown is a part of a family of churches in the Atlanta area. There's one in DC as well, but I mean, it was really just so many writers, creatives. We were always writing our own songs. You know, that was songwriting was always a part of it. But for Housefires specifically, that expression was really a way to share more of the communal sound that was so present in our church, because we have the way we're kind of organized. You have Sundays, but then you have house churches that meet throughout the week. So so it's not like either or, not just house churches, but it's like, sometimes it's a meal, sometimes it's worship, but the real life texture that's not just Sunday morning, here's an hour, here's a message, go home. It's like, people in your life, and worship in that space just sounds so different than oftentimes worship just on a Sunday morning. Like it's longer. There's so much spontaneity. There's nothing polished or slick about it. And for us, sharing the songs that had impacted our community, like in that way, just felt really important. And it's still really important. So I'm just volunteering at the church. I was a worship pastor for years. And so now Kirby is the worship pastor and I'm a volunteer, which is amazing. I love it.
Wow.
So it has been, traveling has been crazy for me as the solo record stuff has started to happen, but I'm there as much as I possibly can be, and I still can't travel a ton. I got 3 kids starting school. That's the life stage we're in. So I'm kind of just rolling with it as it happens. Like we're going through the change in real time. So my answer will probably be different 6 months from now. Who knows?
Sure. I mean, life moves on, and here you are. Are you the first artist signed on Bowyer and the Bow with Tomlin? Are you like the premier guy?
I'm the first. Yeah, the first one.
Wow.
I'm the trial. I guess I'm the trial run. I'm the test dummy. I'm just kidding.
You're the guinea pig. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
How does that feel?
It actually, you know what's? It's amazing because when I first said, like, okay, I'm gonna do a solo record. Talking to Chris about it, he was like, man, this is, when he was sharing about what he was going to be doing with Bowyer and Bow, and he was like, man, is this something you think you'd be interested in doing, with, like, being a part of this? I was like, God, that sounds incredible. Like, it was kind of, again, another no-brainer, but it really was. It's really exciting to be doing something new always brings up crazy feelings. So new record, new label, man, everything's new. I got a new baby at home. My kids are starting a new school. Like it's all new anyway. So I always find it really exciting.
Wow. And the whole thing happened when you talked to Meg, right? And said, okay, if all bets were off, what do you think would be my next right step? And her answer was really surprising, right?
Yeah. I mean, I cannot even say enough how I never once thought about doing a solo record, ever. It was never in my plan. It was not like some eventual career move. And I really did. I got to tell people, if you're listening to this, you're like, man, I'm just feeling confused. My vision's a little foggy. I wonder what the Lord's saying I should do next. Like, ask your spouse because that's what I told Meg. I was like, babe, you have seen me when I'm the most present, most engaged, most inspired. You've also seen me when I'm the most scattered. I'm the most confused. Knowing all those things about me, what do you think I should do next? And she was like, I really think you would find a lot of joy in sharing some of these other songs that you haven't always had the outlet to share. And you've always been a part of a team expression of worship. And I don't know, I think it would really stir something in you if you did that. And I was literally like, no, babe, I think you misunderstood the question. Like I didn't, even then I couldn't accept it, but it really, she planted that seed, and I just really felt like it was from the Lord. So
Jeez.
yeah, from just that idea and just being so reluctant about it to now it having one, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Jeez. Wow. And then you started getting affirmation from everybody else around you. Was like, well, heck yeah, we thought that like, a long time ago, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was literally the last one to see it, I guess. I don't know. Just, it's
Wow.
always good. Surround yourself with good people that challenge you and pray for you and can see and help you. God, I mean,
Wow.
you're the company you
That's
keep.
great.
So I'm fortunate to have good people in my corner.
Absolutely. Well, I asked my wife what she thought I should do, and she said, well, dude, I think you need to sit down and shut up.
It's
like,
amazing. All right.
oh,
Wow.
okay. All right. I guess so.
That's a different answer.
I think you need to shut your pie hole and like sit down because you need to get it back together, dude. No, that's
great.
awesome, Pat. No, that's awesome, dude. And obviously the world is a better place because of what her answer was and the affirmation around you. So you went through like a truckload of songs with Mr. Tomlin before you landed on these songs for your new EP. Did I read it like you went through like 55 songs?
Yeah, I just had this massive Dropbox. I mean, 55 songs makes it sound like every song was awesome. It was not like that. You really like, I think before every project for me, you try to just gather up all the pieces that are there and see what is, which just feels like it's still speaking to you. And that was one of the things for me, choosing which 12 would be on the record. Like the way of deciding wasn't just like, which songs do I like or which songs, I really wanted to feel like these were the right now songs. These were the ones I'm most excited to share right now. These are the ones that feel like I could talk on and on and on about the message and the way that they've touched my life. And they were also the songs that, I mean, for me, writing is so, like songs are so connected to the reality of my life. So like I've used these songs have been helpful to my own life. And, it's crazy. The things that have touched you the most are usually the most excited to share with other people anyway. So,
Right.
really, it was quite the process kind of getting down there.
Wow. But he walked with you through that and you kind of called it out to the things that felt the best. Ed, Cash produced. Sounds great, right?
Oh, yeah. Ed.
Oh, my gosh. I want to have him on the show. I need to get a hookup with him. I tell you, just a legend, and all the work with Tomlin, of course. And your record sounds great. I love it. It's got this engaging, fresh. You feel like you're there, but the production value is so high and just good stuff, man. Congratulations on all that.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Ed is just what I felt most often during the whole process making the album is the freedom to the freedom to explore things that really move you. And we didn't go into it like, oh, this is gonna be the sound and the vibe. There wasn't even like, we kind of had some big pieces and big 30,000 foot vision, but not really like how it would work out. Or so really a lot of time in the studio was honing that in. It was just, I've never had more fun making music. It was just the most fun I've ever had.
I bet. I bet, man.
It was
great.
awesome. So yeah,
how could you not? How could you not? I mean, you got Chris Tomlin,
Exactly.
Ed Cash, all these great players. I mean, that's great. I'm sure there was a lot of expectations too, after the song and all that. But I'd like to do. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's self-titled new EP coming out like tomorrow, right? It's tomorrow the release date, I think.
The way we release it is crazy because it's an EP that kind of has grown into a full record. So
yeah.
So it'll be full record released July 20th.
Yeah, tomorrow, dude. That's great.
Crazy.
Well, that's no, that's not tomorrow. Yeah, it is tomorrow. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
listen, that's all amazing. I mean, just what a journey, and your life is absolutely full. But if you can, I mean, what are your real motivations? I mean, obviously, worship. You love Jesus and all that, but take us a little into the inner sanctum if you want to. What do you what if you could just say one thing to the world, what would it be?
Yeah, golly. I mean, there's probably a couple things, but I really think that the message of Jesus is, I can almost say, more relevant now than ever before. I think it's always been relevant, but man, the need for songs and art and expression that feels like transcendent love and freedom for people is, I just see it, being a part of that message is so inspiring to me. And it's crazy. There've been a few experiences in my life where I've met somebody that you can tell just they're not preaching because they want to build their own platform or whatever. They're doing it from an act of service because they've been so impacted by God themselves. And I think there's a simplicity to that in me. Like, I think back to when I was 16 years old and I said yes to God for myself. Like, I grew up in the church. My dad's a pastor. So there's part of, like, of course, the cultural inherited Christian values that happen if you grow up around it. But saying yes for yourself and what that does is I think it's really important. So I want to be a part of that message through music, through conversations. I mean, it's so funny. I don't know. I would have never imagined that. Again, the children's book is hilarious, but talking about the goodness of God in any form like that is just, I don't even mean just in like the churchy way. I mean, like, man, I want that message to impact my finances. I want it to touch my marriage. There's a song on the new record called Sales, and the first line of it is, falling is easy, staying in love is hard.
Yeah.
And it's a song about vulnerability in relationships and realizing that that the things that are most precious in life are not the things that are the easiest. Like, relationships are they require maintenance. I think that's why Jesus was like, in the Gospel of John, he's like, as the Father has loved me, so I've loved you, now remain in my love. Like, he knew it was like, having a moment with God is not the issue. Staying in the moment with God forever is what we have problems with. You don't have to look that far to see it. I mean, relationships are like that often. So those are the things for me that I'm so interested in, not just an ethereal message about hope, but the way that message impacts the way I raise my kids, the way I think about my life, the way I deal with, the way I deal with disappointment, the way I deal with insecurity, the way how it frees me from harboring unforgiveness in my heart for someone who's hurt me. Like, Jesus doesn't allow those things to stay. And I love songs and art and conversations that talk about the most important things in life. So that's what I want to do. I just found such energy and hope realizing that I can contribute, or I get the opportunity to even contribute to the conversation of how we talk about God. Why does this message even matter? And that it can change our lives and the way we not just, learn about Him, but the way we love each other. I think that's what I'm really, really passionate about.
Wow. And so that comes out in your ministry, obviously, you know, in the way that you lead, the way that you know, converse with people around the topic of worship. Because if worship isn't really changing us and making us better people, what's it about, right?
Yeah, like totally. And this is such a weird phrase that I've started to use, but I love worship songs that make us look down. And which is kind of like a weird, I know it's like, usually it's like we lift our eyes, we look up, you know, set your eyes on things above, which is totally like, of course we do that. But I know the heart of God is that our worship would affect everything else. It should affect our finances, the way we trust him with our money, the way we trust him to provide. Like, that's a very grounded down thing. Our worship should affect the way we love our wives and our spouses and the way we raise our kids. Our worship should affect the way we forgive people that are like, that's a very like grounded down here thing. I want, so songs like that, like those are the things for me that I've found not only to be the most helpful for my own life, but also the most inspiring, because it has the ability to challenge our current way of thinking at times. So, I mean, I hope that songs continue. I hope we continue to write songs that do that. That's why I like Build My Life. You know, it's one of those songs for me. It makes me look at my feet and what I'm standing on. Am I standing on my desire for everyone to love me and, you know, mass approval of people? Am I standing on an insecure idea that I have to be liked and everyone has to love everything I do? What am I like putting my feet on? So, yeah, I don't know. I just love that.
That's powerful. And I love flipping that concept because, you know, we always think of God as up there and out and away and beyond. And he is. I mean, he's the transcendent God, but he's also the immanent, the very closer than your breath God, you know. So when you're looking down, without becoming a navel gazer and, you know, looking right. But I mean, still, some people out there listening probably have never heard that term, but you know, like without becoming, you know, just so focused on yourself, but realizing the nearness of God. So I love that, dude. Yeah. Looking down instead of looking up. So let's talk just real quick about your song process, because you're obviously a deep thinker. You're experiencing a lot of stuff after a flurry of all this success and awesome stuff after years of writing. It's not like you just started. So how do you approach your process, and do you feel it's changing at this point now that you're involved at such a higher level?
Yeah, I mean, man, my process, I feel like I'm probably as random as anybody. What I've really tried to do, like in the most basic level, is I've tried to be sensitive and awake to the things that inspire me. And what I mean by that is I don't just mean like a song. I mean, like, it's like when you're listening to a song, but then all of a sudden it's more than a song. Or you hear like a line in a movie that all of a sudden it's not just a line in a movie. It hits something. So that's what I literally, my phone is filled with notes of, man, I heard this line. I don't know why this is so inspiring me. This movie, the bridge of this song, this idea, this phrase, this, like, I have thousands of notes on my phone of just things that, for whatever reason, in the moment, I was touched by it. And so with songwriting, what I try to do is follow that feeling and not force myself to, put a song in a certain framework or mold or whatever. Like I've found that for me, that's not the best approach. So that's what I try to do. So like Build My Life, that song took like 4 years to write because I tried to put that bridge on every song that was being written. I'm like, oh, I got a bridge, and it just would never fit. And it wasn't until, there was another idea that hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, those two things together, that moves me. This moves me. So, that's what I would encourage people as well. Like, become almost like a disciple of the things that move you, and ask, like, why did that move me the way it did? Is there language behind that you can help articulate? So, like, so many songs on the new record started as a line in my notes that were just like, for whatever reason, this was really important. That's one of them. God, this is one of them that I love. I'll just share this, but what do I have that hasn't been given is the line. It's the first line to a song called Be Still My Soul. And it really was it was a way, it's what David said when he was gathering like materials to build the temple for Solomon. He literally says, once they gathered everything, all the money, all the wood, all the stone, all that stuff, he says, God, we have only given what has come from your hand, is what he says. And so that line, when I start to get worried about, okay, I'm going through a lot of life change. How's this going to work out financially? What is this going to look like practically? How is this going to remind yourself that all that you have was a gift from the start anyway. And the way you hold it really matters. It can be liberating or it can be imprisoning. So I don't know. I think we've all felt that at times. So there are lines like that for me helped me walk through a time in my life that I was like, I needed this. I need to remember that I don't have to white knuckle grip my life and try to control everything. I can't even control the next beat of my heart. Why would I try to control anything else? So, I think there's something in that with songwriting that's been, for me, I've found it to be just really, really like a fruitful thing.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay. So songs for you they come at you more like ideas, essences, if you will, of things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a snippet of a line, like you said, but then you kind of craft from there.
I'll just sit down and start cranking away at other ideas and see if one thing leads to another. And I will sit down with a line and sing it over and over again for months, until it feels like it's done. And I guess there's the classic, when is a song ever done? But until you feel like, okay, this thing is where it's supposed to be. And and I ask myself, am I excited to show this to somebody else? Do I so connect with this that I'm like, oh, listen to this? And I don't mean listen to be impressed. I mean, like, I think it's really important for me, at least, to be connected and inspired by the things that I'm sharing. Otherwise you're just kind of relaying information as opposed to sharing something that you're passionate about, that you've been touched by, that it's helping you see the world in a different way. So, yeah,
that's
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too, man. I love how you're approaching that. And like, you mentioned falling is easy, staying in love is hard. That concept that became the song called Sales with Stephanie Gretzinger and Amanda Cook. Great writers, great worship leaders. You guys collaborated, and it's a great song. And it stood out to me when I was reviewing all the tunes. It's like, well, this is different, It's like, your heart is the sails, and like, I'm just here, whether the wind's blowing or not, Cool. Love that. So what would you say if you could say one thing, because of a lot of our audience, we have a lot of listeners, but a good number of them are aspiring songwriters. If there was one thing you had to say to them, what would that be?
Man, I would say, among a lot of other things, I would seriously say start to pay attention to the things that move you. And the gift of the artist and the poet is that their vulnerability helps open the rest of us up to be vulnerable as well. That would be something that, I just feel like that's really important. And it translates when you know the feeling when you're around somebody and they sing something and they're like, "Oh, you believe that? I believe you." There's some type of, there's a reality, there's a realness to it that I think is really needed. I don't mean to, it's not like we don't stop writing all the things you're writing, but I would, I don't know, stretch yourself, like wonder, like when something moves you, stop and ask yourself, why did that just touch me the way it did? And explore that, because chances are if it moves you, it'll move somebody else. And that means that you're at least getting a hint of some deeper human reality that, if that's maybe a place that you can contribute some of your art to, that will help us see the world differently. And I would say as well, I need your songs. I need to hear the perspective that God's giving you. This is never meant to be so like just a few people writing songs and we just sing all their stuff. No, like my kids need to hear your perspective so that we all can see each other a little more clearly and hopefully get a clear picture of him and what he's like. And I can't wait. I hope the world is filled with art that moves us, and lines and melodies that make us think that there's something more to life than just what we see at times.
Wow, that's rich, dude. That's great. Great perspective. Great advice for everybody wanting to steward their gift, right? So thank you. I want to take just a second as we wrap up to just acknowledge you and acknowledge just what God has done through you to give the world not only Good Father, which is tremendous, you and Tony Brown, but all the other, the new songs, they're just tremendous. But, the legacy of worship, Build My Life. We've been singing that for months at our church, and I didn't even realize it was yours. But
it's awesome.
I know, right? But just been touched by that. But I would just want to acknowledge you for just a moment and bless you in the name of Jesus, and thank God for you, and speak especially protection, over you and your family. And busyness is just the enemy of intimacy. And I think you're just awesome to concentrate on your kids, like you need my approval, but your family and everything. But man, good on you. I love your heart. Thank you for spending some time with us here on the Song Revolution podcast. And one last question. What's your favorite way for people to interact with you? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook? What's your favorite way?
Probably Instagram, I guess. Yeah, usually, God, there's so many. It's crazy the way people communicate with each other. There's too many things. So I usually I guess Instagram is the best. The best way to do it. Yeah, that's the best.
Sweet. Well, dude, congratulations on the big songs and this new record and this whole new season. And we wish you the best. Pat Barrett, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show today. I'm blown away with the encouragement and inspiration that every guest brings, and today was certainly no different. If you want even more encouragement and inspiration to take your songwriting to the next level, be sure to check out NCS membership over on our site at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. We're all about empowering you to become the best Christian songwriter that you can be, and NCS membership is simply the fastest and easiest way to get there. Become the songwriter that you were born to be by joining NCS membership today. I'll see you next time on the Song Revolution podcast.